Welcome, I'm Hernan Murdoch. In this episode, we're going to take a look at data analytics. A common technique internal auditors use is data analytics. And to better understand its definition, its meaning, its uses, we have with us Kathleen Crawford, who will help us better understand these aspects of data analytics. Welcome, Kathleen.
Hi, Hernan.
So, can we start with the definition? What is data analytics all about?
I'd be happy to start there. It's really, really fascinating. Data analytics is a process of using different computer learning techniques to help us automatically analyze and extract knowledge from the data. So if you look a little bit farther down on the graphic here, there's a progression that we're interested in. Data has a lot of hidden information in it. And so what we're trying to do is to pull that information out of the bits and bytes of the data and then take a look at that information and transform it into knowledge. So auditors will use different techniques that uncover different patterns that might indicate that processes are broken in some way, not operating as expected or intended. And we can also use it for developing some predictive patterns in the business information. So instead of looking at a sample of transactions and drawing inferences to the entire population, now we're looking at the whole population and we're able to slice and dice the information and get better information for the business. So the better you understand the business, the better your data mining will be. It starts with some fundamental knowledge, or it has to start with some fundamental knowledge of how the area processor system works. It also means that you have to engage in some partnership. So if we're fortunate enough to have some data mining experts in-house in internal auditing, that's super beneficial. But if you don't have that, then reach out to data mining experts as business auditors and partner with them in order to make a more meaningful foray into this territory.
So data analytics helps auditors in many ways to make their results more conclusive and more convincing because they are not only looking at a sample of the population, but something that approximates or is the entire population, however many transactions that will be. It could be thousands, could be hundreds of thousands, could be millions of records. So we don't need to extrapolate. We reviewed all of them. So what does this process entail? So now that we understand its power and its definition, so what does this entail as you embark on this journey?
Well, this is a very, very systematic and disciplined process. So we're going to talk about data analytics from the very beginning, and the process that I'm about to describe is called Knowledge Discovery in Databases, or KDD. This is the process model that we're exploring here. So the first thing is identifying a goal. What is it we're trying to accomplish? What do we want to know? Or what do we want to investigate? We might not yet be at a point where we know what we know, but we could at least, or we can't identify what we want to know, but we can at least identify a goal. Let's get to the bottom of this particular issue or this particular problem if we can. The second step is to create or select a target data set. So this is an opportunity to experiment and see if we can't, again, kind of bore a hole into the population, into the set of data that will be meaningful. The third step is data pre-processing. Pre-processing means smoothing out what's called noisy data. There may be missing pieces of information. So think about this. Think about some of the codes that we expect to see for certain types of transactions, and some unusual coding could upset the truth and the completeness of what we're looking at. So pre-processing the data is really, really important. We're trying to fill in some gaps in the information. We're trying to make the information more consistent, the data more consistent. And so this pre-processing can be a time-consuming part of this, but it really is necessary in order to get those really meaningful inferences that we've talked about already.
And in some cases, internal auditors will need to merge multiple files because they may be extracting data from multiple systems. and then a need to merge the files or do some cleanup on the field level as well in terms of the structure. For example, as relates to dates, something that's somewhat simple on the surface, but I've done a lot of work where I had to collect data from international locations, and even the structure of the dates may vary between the date month or month date
Right.
and then the year, and whether sometimes the year may be in the front or at the back end of that sequence of digits. So even those type of things may require some work just to make sure you get everything in the same structure, and then you can proceed with your analytics. So
Exactly.
very good.
Exactly.
So what are some of the next steps that we need to consider?
So the next thing is what's called data transformation. It's similar to what you were just saying, is that we need to pre-process to fill in the gaps and to make sure that we understand what each of those digits might mean, but then we have to transform it into something that's usable, which is often, as you say, flipping those dates is a great example. If we want everything to be the same from all over the world, then we have to take some of that and flip it to the other way that it might look in another file. And then we mine it. So you see that we have to go through a lot of work before we're actually able to mine the data and get those inferences. We definitely need some help with interpretation and evaluation, and this comes with experience, or it comes with the partnership that I mentioned on the prior graphic. That partnership with people who are knowledgeable about the data, and especially people who are knowledgeable about the area processor system, is what is needed here. And then taking action on whatever turns up in the information. So after the interpretation and evaluation, then taking action in terms of making some kind of recommendation, what you would articulate to the client in terms of whether this area processor system is working very well in this particular aspect, or whether it needs to be adjusted in some way going forward.
Kathleen, this is great because this helps us better understand not only the definition, but also the process. And there's a systematic way we can go about leveraging the power of data analytics so that we can go in a systematic way and make sure that we get all the benefits that this encapsulates. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your help with this today.
It's my pleasure.
If you like this series, subscribe to the ACI Learning YouTube channel to enjoy more audit-related content.